Hello, hello, hello.
Good morning.
I'm going to give it just another minute, and then we will get started.
Hey, Brian, just a quick question for you while we wait.
Yeah.
Is there anything in the training modules on CMAs and preparing a CMA?
Yeah, kind of sideways there is. I'll link, but we can also do that here if you want to.
Yeah, I'm trying to revamp some of our training
Yeah,
and
I wanted to say maybe our market one that we just finished. Some of our market updates have had them. We've
okay.
used a CMA for a town. I don't know. Brian just finished it yesterday, so I don't know if this particular one has it. But I'll look and let you know, and then we can do it here. What context do you want to do the CMA?
Just like training on how to do a CMA. That's one of the questions that our new agent trainer gets a lot is like from her new agents, like, how do I do a CMA? How do
Okay.
you process through the whole thing, basically? And so I'm rewriting the training that she has on it, but I just wanted to see everything I redo, I'm trying to integrate the Eicenhower links into so that
Perfect.
everybody is going there. So
I'll have it shortly for
that's
you.
one I didn't have on my list of where I knew where it was.
Okay.
Thank you.
Um, all right, guys. Here, welcome to Groundhog's Day. Brian, why is it Groundhog's Day? Because it's WORK. Seems like a great job that we all have, but it is still work, just flexible. My belief is you guys' spring break is more Easter connected, right? Or is it now?
My kids are both out from Boise State this week, and I know Meridian schools are out this week here where we live.
My daughter too is my last one here is out. So we'll see how that affects here. But here's what I want to start. So this is an all play. So all of you guys, and I am going to call you out because you don't have your video on. But Irina, Natalie, Katie, Zach, Kelly, and Angela, you do need to at least participate. Just throw in the answers in here. Okay. We're going to play a little game to start this morning. I want you to think of what's the number one thing that we as realtors should be doing and you personally are not doing. So what's the number one thing? You might be, let's say you list it out and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And you're doing number one, maybe you're doing number two. So your number three would be your number one thing you're not doing. So throw it in the chat box. What's the number one thing that you know you should be doing that you're not doing? It's an all play. Good, good. I see follow up. Said, did I see routine follow up? Kelly for sure. Do it now or hire some teenager to do it for you. Trust me on this. You'll never get caught up. Okay, I'm still missing a couple follow up. You guys are just followers. Everybody putting follow up because you know what? I can poke into that right now. So what's the number one? Everybody put down what's the number one thing you are supposed to do. Just not whether you're doing it or not, but what is the number one thing you got to do if you want to do business? Let's see if we can. What? Yeah, talk, phone calls. It's having okay. So now here's what I want you to think about. Okay, and so by the way, I've played this game with a couple different teams over this week already, and all these things are super regular things that we all don't do. Okay, now we all know uh, the problem is we all know we're supposed to do these things, right? Or did anybody list something they didn't know they needed to do? Anybody know the things that they didn't know? We all knew we were supposed to do it. Okay. Now I want you to put down because this is what we're going to solve today. Okay. I want you to put down why you think you don't do whatever you put on there. So whatever you determined was your, number one thing put in there. So Natalie's answered. Okay, we can mindset that, Natalie. I promise you. Okay, gonna Laura, good answer. I'm just admitting a few more people. What's the number one reason you don't do, you personally, not in general, but that you don't do uh, what you need to do? Okay, I'm gonna work on some of these right here. Okay, and I'm gonna ask you guys to play. And here's the truth, you guys. Again, there is no judgment. I asked this question now of several teams. I've gotten very similar answers, so they're very common to us as human beings, and then us as human beings as realtors. Okay, so you can't get help unless you put out what you're really feeling or why you really don't do it. Now you can't if you take that one from a mindset if you don't actually put some thought to it, you're not going to fix it either. I had an agent trying to fix one of these things that you guys have put on here, and I asked him, hey, have you told anybody, to help you, hold you to be accountable? And he had not. And I said, until now. So the good thing is he was telling me, his problem, and uh, the deal is that because he admitted it, now if he went and told somebody else, he got more of a chance to fix it. So why are you afraid? So I heard fear in there. I heard rejections. I heard, somewhat like things that would be, like it, hesitancy, things like that. Why? Think about you internally or people in general. What are some of the reasons that we have that fear, or that fear of rejection, or expectation might even be, a good one uh, of rejection, or they're going to hire somebody else? Why do you think that is? What's kind of a core? So Mariah's got limiting beliefs for sure. Why else might you think? Does anybody think? Okay, let me describe a situation for me, and you give me a yes or no. So I am an agent of however long I am. Okay, and I know I can repeat like the residential purchase agreement, the listing agreement, the buyer's representation, or whatever your guys' local names are for all those things. And I'm super comfortable. I know every little box that you can check. I know what the boxes mean. I know what needs to be filled. I'm really confident about knowing what needs to be filled out when I leave this appointment. Okay. In addition, I'm pretty knowledgeable about literally this entire week. I've been pulling the market update, so I know how many went active, how many went pending. I'm comfortable. Maybe I've taken 3 or 4 listings that week. I've done 2 or 3 buyers representations and got them to sign that week. Okay, if you're that person right there that I just described. Okay, put yourself in there. When you go to your appointment, do you have the fear? And I want a yes or no. So I got 3 answers. Keep answering. Okay. I'm gonna go with the yeses first, and then I'm gonna talk, or actually the no's. Why, if you're that person, why are you more likely to put a no in that? So Kelly says it's because and Mariah, because you're prepared, right? You likely know the answers to most of the things they're gonna ask. Is that fair for everybody? Jim says because he's prepared. Okay, so let me ask before I go answer or give you my opinion here. So, on the people that were still nervous, who wants to tell me why you'd still be nervous? And remember, you just put your name on there that you were still nervous, so I could voluntold you. So it's either a volunteer is a lot easier to do. Just is. No judgment here, folks. who wants to help everybody else? Why are you still nervous? Okay, Marshall says because he's likely, no matter what prep, something's forgot. I don't disagree with that. Okay, uh, competition arena. Okay, so you're worried about like the other person. So that our brokerage, when I first got my license, um, we had this measure. There's late, and I'll tell you her name, Krista Mayshore, and she was in our market area. And so you couldn't go on a listing. We wouldn't send you on one of our team's listings unless you were good enough in your pitch that if Krista Mayshore showed up before you or after you, that you wouldn't get it. That was our measure, right? Like, and it was legit because she went on a lot of our appointments and she was real good. But let me ask you guys what you described from, okay, I'm nervous, I have, fear, I don't feel like I got this. And some of you moved when I described the prepared person, some of you moved into a better spot. I'd say I would bet even the people who still might have been nervous about going likely were also in a better spot, even though they were still nervous. And nervous is fine as long as you get past your nervousness, you do it. So bottom line is, for those things that you guys put as the things that you shouldn't do, I would tell you most of those things are solved by preparation. And I'd like, if you guys can, I'd like you, and I'll tell you what my weekly prep is. Tell me what you do in a week to keep you prepared for any appointment you might get on. And you have to tell me the things that you do, not what you know you should do. I want you to tell me what you do and see if we can get a complete list here. Okay, so I see practice my presentation. That's money, money, money. CMA, drive by. Okay, so think more general. Think more general, not a specific appointment, but you just in general. So these are all great things for sure. But in general, so KCM, good. I'm looking ready to get listings ready to go. That's good. So Laura's got the opposite, the overthink. I don't totally disagree. Sometimes I could go that way too, Laura, but I'd rather be over prepared than under prepared. Okay, so now let me give you some of these things. Here's what I think. At least the people that I think about, the people that we coach, that have, like, I'll give them rainmaker title. Okay, so all the rainmakers started out the same way. They were nervous just like the rest of us, right? They were like still ill equipped until they got what one of you guys answered in there. They had practice, right? And now here's the key though. Remember that we should never practice on our clients, right? So what I have heard, if I take the best list, is that you want to know your local market. So the cities that you normally might serve, you should know on a regular basis. And I would tell you it's probably at least every 3 days you'd want to pull a CMA with actives, pendings, and listings. And it's general. Don't put any filters on it. Just make it 90-day and you pull that in. Because if the reason I do that is that I will go into an appointment and somebody may make a comment about the pace of the market or whether it's good or bad, and you're able to say, actually, some of that totally true, and I understand why that would be perceived, especially on what the news says. But I just take today as an example. This morning we have 90 actives, and we put 60 pendings in the last 7 days, right? So by using specific numbers, or they're going to perceive as specific numbers, and you're going to be close, you can then communicate like you're coming from an authority rather than saying, well, let me show you something, or I have to come back and show you something, right? Same is if you're going to go, which a bunch of you guys put on there, you're going to a specific property or something, you'd want to know how that works for their specific neighborhood, right? Now, you know that because you regularly should be polling these cities that you serve in. Even if you don't have any appointments at all in that week, you should pull it a couple times in the week. Now, I believe Friday is a great day to pull it in the afternoon. The reason Friday is a great day to pull in the afternoon is lots of things go on the market on Fridays. The other really day that I think is super valuable is either Tuesday morning or Monday night. And the reason is lots of properties because the weekend go into contract. So you'll be able to see the big dips and the contrast, right? The other thing you should be doing, which somebody posted on here, is watching your local news. Now, here's why you watch the local news is so that you can speak when there's a project going on that somebody's reported. And remember, your clients that you're going to be talking to also live where you live and are going to be getting this input here. So you want to be able to talk intelligibly about those things. Now, I don't mean have an opinion. I don't mean be political. I don't mean any of those things. I would know what's going on in these projects and the neighborhoods they might affect from a real estate standpoint. Okay, so that's good prep, and you can do that. Yeah, I don't believe you got to do it, all the time, but I think you got to do it somewhat regularly, a couple times a week, right? Then the other thing is that you should do is what you guys put is you should practice every week with somebody. You can practice. I've practiced on my dog. I practice on my cat. I practice on my kids. I practice with a peer like you guys on the phone because it's really not about oftentimes the feedback they give me. It's about me getting it out of my mouth, out of my head, and out of my mouth in a practiced way to say it, right? So people who practice got a better chance. I've said this before and I'll say it again, never practice on your client. If you practice on your client, you may not have a client, okay, because they may not hire you. So you want to practice prior to that, right? Okay, the other thing, ironically, I will tell you, and I tell this to lots of new people, and who here, and I'm going to describe new. New has nothing to do with the amount of time you've had a license, okay? When you present a residential purchase agreement, a residential listing agreement, or the buyer, your guys' portion of the buyer's representation, who right now, by show of hands, can put it in layman's terms without reading anything off of it and can tell everything that each box that potentially could be filled in? Who in your particular area or state can fill that out and say it in layman's terms? Okay, so right there, if you can't do that, first thing, okay, so now I'm going to tell you my previous experience. My partner, my broker of record in our branch that we own is, I call him Rain Man. That's literally what I call him because he literally could tell you the periods, the commas, and all the things. So I go, he takes me out. I've watched him do his listing agreement a couple times, and on this third one, Hacienda Heights in Richmond, still remember it today, on Tewksbury Commons. I can't remember the actual address, but he hands this thing over. It's a Dave Ramsey client to me who, if you guys have ever had Dave Ramsey client, they're just a little bit more put together oftentimes. He says, "Oh, Brian will cover the contract with you." Oh my gosh, near vomit. Okay. Because I really can't cover this thing without reading the paragraphs. And I've seen Rick deliver this thing numerous times by describing, here's how it affects. So here's what you should do if you're not at that level of competency. This will so help you is you should, as a couple week plan, first week, you're going to read all three that I described. You're going to read them once a day, like physically read them. You're going to print out a new copy each day that you're going to do it. When you read it, you're going to highlight any box or any blank that requires you to fill in, or if the other side fills it in, that it is going to affect the contract. Okay, you're going to do that for 1 week. Now, here's the good news. If you take all three of them, the truth is there's only, I don't know, the residential purchase agreement is probably the longest one. It has 17 pages that are different than the other ones. The rest of them have all the same disclosure pages, fair housing, all those kind of things are the same, right? So you only need to read them once. So for 1 week, go read and highlight the things that you're going to fill in. Now, either ask somebody that you trust, not an urban legend, not somebody that just started a few minutes ago with you on your same day, but somebody that you trust that really understands the document. You want to then have them explain to you in layman's terms what those blanks are. Or, this is legit, go to ChatGPT, load that thing in, I'm not kidding you, and ask ChatGPT to paraphrase to what does this mean, and it is killer. It does a great job in layman's terms of describing what that little button, what the box, what the date box is. Now, then what you're gonna do, that's the first week. Into the first week, you're gonna now, and you don't have to study what those things mean. Now we're gonna start being able to communicate it. So in the middle of the 2 weeks, you're gonna do what I just suggested. Some way you're gonna have an expert help you, okay? Then what you're gonna do is on the second week, I'm going to communicate again to your cat, your dog, your mom, your kid, your spouse, your friend. It does not matter because you are not looking for feedback. You're not. You just want to get it out of your mouth. So now I want you each day, I want you to practice delivering those documents like they're going to sign it. Okay? I promise you at the end of the 2 weeks, if you did it like I said, and regardless of what kind of a learner you are, if you did it, you will be so significantly more confident about that. Now you're not worried about something that you could fix. Now you can worry about, okay, what's my pitch? Okay. Because what you want to do is get away all the things that you don't want to worry about. So I can just concentrate on the hard thing, which is be smooth as Marshall when you're delivering, your agreement. I'm just assuming, Marshall, just assuming. Okay. Now here's what are other things that I can take off my box not to worry about is what some of you guys put. It's the prep before you go. I gave myself time to do a great CMA, and you're like, oh, Brian, what makes a great CMA versus a bad one? It's really not that hard, but my knowledge of it definitely makes one go from good to great. Is knowledge not just having the documents of my active listings, my pendings, and whatnot, but knowing how to deliver it is what kind of changes it, right? And by the way, this is free advice right here, and if you don't take it, you ain't gonna make as much money as I made. Less is more. Less is more. We try to kill them because we try to make up for our knowledge, our pitch by having, has anybody ever ran like a seller's estimate off an RPR before? Off the, anybody use RPR? Okay, it's like 87 pages or something like that. And I don't actually believe I just exaggerated. I actually think it's like that many pages. Dude, other than like a CPA that their parents were engineers, like those are the only people who are going to want the 87 pages, right? So I'm now working before I go on that appointment for what are other things can I take off my fear list and checklist. It's the prep for how much that house is worth. Here's something that I don't think people think of. Does anybody honestly have you ever fumbled with where you put the signatures and the initials and then the couple things you got to fill out that are negotiated during your conversation? Does anybody ever fumbled and missed and not been very smooth with when you're filling that out? Okay, I'm telling you, it's the most embarrassing thing. Like I just thought I'd just done the most perfect ever, delivery, and I'm not prepared. So here's something you can do to help you. Before going on your appointment, you print them out. Then what you do is you highlight where they sign and you sign in advance. Okay. Now, another trick is use a different colored highlighter for the things like, so I'll use our residential listing agreement. The couple things we can't fill in price yet because we haven't set the price, right? We can't put in the commission because we have not agreed on the commission, negotiated the commission. We have a non-represented commission box. We haven't decided that that's going to work, so you can't fill that in. So all three of those, I highlight in green before I go. Okay. And I do it on both my copies. Okay. So the reason I have 2 copies is you have to give a copy within 24 hours of anything you ask somebody to sign. Sure, you can scan it. Sure, you could go back. I'm in production. So I have those done in advance, right? So also the day that you're going to go on the market is a negotiated thing. I highlight that. So the theory here is I'm trying to give you what are all the things that you could do before you go on this appointment so you don't have to do it when you're talking to them. So you can only concentrate on your pitch. Okay. What are some of the other things you could do in advance before? So we got comps we're going to do. We got the docket. We got the listing agreements, etc. What are some of the other things? And you can put them. You either can unmute or throw them in the chat box. Or have I got everything? I actually think I got everything. But okay. So we would do those things. Okay. Now, anybody here nervous when creating your fair market value or really what your sticker price is that you would put? Anybody nervous ever about whether you got your comps right and those things right? Come on. If you guys aren't, uh, your propers are staying on way too long. I was telling you now because it's right now it's such a moving target for us, right? So really run over them and make sure you know. Now, for a trick question, because I just asked this routine, which do we take? Do we take what we believe the comp for the house is? Okay. Do we take a range? Do we take the last 6 months of sales? What are you bringing with you on a listing agreement? What are you doing? What do you guys think? Somewhere in my answer was correct. Irina, Kelly, great job. Remember, you don't need to be pressured because you haven't made the decision about how much this house is worth yet, because you're just taking a range with you. You don't know how much it's worth until you go and walk the house. The same for if you're on a buyer's appointment. I don't know if I agree or not. I agree maybe a 3-2 that's 1,600 square feet in Treasure Valley goes from this range, but think of the treasure value. You got homes that are 50 years old to brand spanking new ones that just came on the market, in the last, couple days. And so that range is going to be a ton. Okay. Moral of the story here for today. Preparation matters. It will get rid of your angst. It will make you better, but you also have to practice the preparation. So find somebody that you want to practice. You guys can send me a video and ask me to rate it. But remember, you always got to remember this. I'm your friend. I am not your buddy. Okay. Which means when you send me the question about what do you think, well, I'm going to tell you what I think. Okay. I'm going to put you up against Krista Mayshore. And I'm going to say, would you guys beat Krista Mayshore? Because she is a stud. Okay. All right, friends, that's what I got for today. Kim, I owe you the CMA and ICT. The other a great one you guys could do that's super helpful, or there's 2: DISC in the Icenhower Coaching and negotiations. Those 2 right there will give you a little bit of the magic and a little bit of the science to these appointments that you go on. And there's some of the ones that are like, they're just not as long, so they're easier to take down, and you guys could take those down in the next 2 weeks. So appreciate you all. Happy spring break to all of you.
And if anybody's looking for the place to sign up for the coaching modules, it's in the toolbox. Just search in the search box, business coaching or business coach, and that link will come up.
Perfect. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you later. See you. Bye.